Hey everybody, how's it going? So today I'd like to discuss an article that came out a while back that a lot of people have been asking about in my YouTube comment section. It is Amazon copied products and rig search results to promote its own brands, documents show. Now, before I can get into discussing this, I think it's important to discuss my bias. I obviously have a bias here to not say something that's going to piss off Amazon because they pay me money. I have a bunch of links in the description of all my videos. And if you click one of those links and actually buy something, even if it's not what I link to, I will get a commission from Amazon. So when all of you constantly ask, what microscope do you use, what camera do you use, what micro soldering pencil do you use, what micro soldering tip do you use, what laser pointer do you use, what cutters do you use, what wick do you use, it started to get tiring answering these questions one by one, but I would. And then when I realized you can actually get paid if you just make a list, I decided to get paid and made a list, and I put it in the description of all my videos. And, it's not a life-changing amount of money for me. I have a business that employs 12 people in New York City, but $1,000 a month is about $1,000 a month. So for me to not disclose that Amazon pays me, I think would be a disservice to all of you. So you should always keep in the back of your head when I'm talking about Amazon that I am going to have this subconscious bias, even if I'm not aware of it, to not say something that's so bad about them that I will get kicked out of that program. Because again, $12K a year is $12K a year. That being said, I'd like to discuss this article, and I'd like to discuss some of the reasons that I suggest that people stop selling on eBay and Amazon about 8 years ago. I did this video, why we stopped selling on eBay and why you should too, and everything I said in this video applies equally to Amazon as well as eBay. So the first thing, before we even get into this article and get into the weeds, is discussing the three different levels of douchebag behavior that's going on here, and which ones I think are the worst. So there's three accusations going on here. The first is that they are creating products that are competing with products, the other products from other brands that sell on Amazon, and that they are making those products cheaper. So that is something people are complaining about. Amazon's creating their own brands and they're cheaper, and how do we compete with that? That is not really that bad. Again, if I were the seller being competed with, I may consider you a douchebag. So let's say I sell this flux for, $20, and you see the line out the door from people buying flux from me, and then you decide to buy one flux for $20. You spray it everywhere. You get excited as you're spraying my flux everywhere. You figure out how to make something that's the exact same quality, but for $15. I may think you're a douchebag because you quote copied my product and made it better and cheaper, and people are now buying from you. I may consider you an asshole because you took my money, but to most of the customers, they're happy. This is the bedrock of American capitalism. It's the good part of American capitalism, not the bad part, where you, the customer, get something cheaper and better over time. That's progress. The second level of douchebag behavior is going to be if you are selling things on an online marketplace and you decide to not only create a product undercutting your competition, but also utilize their proprietary data in order to make your products better than everybody else's when nobody else has access to any of these companies' proprietary data. One example of that would be what they are doing here with some shirts. So they have access to particular data on which shirts get returned the least, what shirts fit people the best. It says here that in its analysis, Amazon used a metric called glance views. It says here, the upshot, our learning is that our customer is different from the Louis Philippe customer and doesn't prefer this fit. We concluded to follow the measurements of the business shirt of John Miller for Accentia because of wide acceptance with our customer base. So Amazon revised the fit of Accentia shirts to copy John Miller's sizing, matching it down to the neck, shoulder, armhole, sleeve, and waist. So over here, what you see are the number shipped and then the number returned, the percentage of customer returns, and why. Because when you shop on Amazon, they're not only going to ask you, why you returned it, but they're also going to have a little box where you could type in any sort of comments. And they're going to be able to see the return rate for all these different brands because all these different brands sell on Amazon. None of these individual brands are going to have any idea what the return rate is of the other companies. So, Lombard probably doesn't know what the return rate is for Indigo. Raymond doesn't know what the return rate is for black coffee. But Amazon, represented by Essentia, they know what the return rate is for everybody, and they know why you're returning it. They know the demographics of people that are buying specific products, who's returning it and why and everything. So they have access to data that they can use to then make the best overall product because they have access to data that nobody else has. Also, one side point I find funny here is that Amazon's brand is actually shittier than all the others in the beginning. So when you take a look at the customer return rate, this is one of the things that sellers get judged on Amazon, by the way, and it's something I went over in this 8-year-old video I did, where, if you have a high rate of customer returns, you get kicked off the platform. I got kicked off the platform because I had a high rate of returns when people were buying LED backlit screens when they actually needed fluorescent, regardless of what the pictures said, regardless of what my listing said. People always bought the LED backlit screen because that was $38 and the fluorescent one was $117. It was a kind of wishful thinking. Like, I really wish, I hope that I need the LED one instead of actually opening their laptop to see what they need. But I find this particularly funny for myself because they would say you have a high return rate, yet their own fucking brand has the highest return rate on the platform because they suck at making any products when they don't have access to data that they could steal from other people. So when they steal the data, they're now able to figure out, well, this is why John Miller shirts sell the best. So let's make our stuff match John Miller. And then let's also use economies of scale to be able to make our products cheaper than theirs so that they will be at the top of the search results. We'll have a lower return rate. People will be happy with it. Lower return rate means higher reviews. Better reviews means top of the search results. That is a different level of douchebag. And admittedly, this is one that's going to get argued a lot. You're choosing to sell on Amazon, and you're signing a contract that says they get access to all this information and they can use it how they please. On the other hand, it's kind of a dick thing to do. You're going to corner the market in online marketplaces, and then you're going to have access to data that nobody else has access to because you're the owner of the marketplace, and you're going to use that to create products on that marketplace that compete with everybody else's. On one hand, you're going to create products that are great for the consumer, and the consumers are probably going to be happy that they now have access to the best product at better prices. On the other hand, you're kind of destroying small business, if not even medium-sized business across the country, and in this case, the world, because we're talking about India. Why should you have access to that data that nobody else has access to? Some are going to say because they created the most successful online marketing and online e-commerce platform in the world. So that means you get access to it. And other people are going to say you don't. I tend to lean on the side of saying they do get access to it, but I like to say, fuck you, Amazon, and not give it to them. That's what I did in this video. I tend to lean on the side of, if they want to use this data in this way, let them, but I'm not going to sell on your fucking platform. What I was making the argument for in this video 8 years ago, I was saying is that this is not your business. You're renting your reputation, you're renting your customers from Amazon and eBay. They're not yours. You're not even allowed to include a little piece of paper in the box that says the brand name of your company or your website because they want the customer to go back to Amazon or eBay. And while they are saying that you're not allowed to have a relationship with your customer, you can't give a customer, a direct website, direct email, or any of that, they're actually working against you to try and destroy your business. If your business does well on Amazon, they're going to look at all of this and try to figure out, how can we use economies of scale? How can we use the fact that we have hundreds of billions of dollars in the bank to beat this person and do better? And they probably will be able to do better because they have hundreds of billions of dollars combined with access to specific data that tells them why this seller is doing better than that seller and all the information on why people were returning certain things to one company and not to another company. I think it's douchey. I don't know if it necessarily crosses the line into illegal, nor if it should, but I do know it is enough that I will, regardless of the fact that I use Amazon links in my description, I will be open, upfront, and forthcoming about the fact that I do not believe people should be selling on Amazon or eBay. I believe that they should be selling from their own online stores. It is more difficult to create a reputation that way. It's more difficult to create a customer base that way. That being said, the customers you're going to get on your own website are a much higher caliber of customers. They're typically people that do a lot more research. They're people that are going to appreciate your brand more. And above all, those are your customers. You earned them and you get them. As long as you don't screw up the relationship, you'll have that person as a customer for life, or at the very least, you have the opportunity to have them as a customer for life. Whereas on Amazon, they're going to Amazon. They're not going to you. So I suggested that people work on building their own business. This way, they don't have to worry about getting flicked off of a platform because they screwed up on some metric somewhere. If they offer good service and good products, they will succeed. And I also gave the example in this video of a screen that somebody had returned to me that they had absolutely destroyed. This is something that used to happen on a regular basis. My website had smarter customers. It was the eBay and Amazon customers that were routinely buying things that were the wrong part, destroying it and sending it back to me and claiming that I sent it to them all ripped up. But this is the third level of douche that I think needs to be discussed here is rigging the search results on your own platform. If you are going to compete with, if you're going to run an online marketplace, and you are then going to compete with people that are selling on your marketplace, sellers that you're collecting fees from, and you're going to compete with them, then it should be on a fair playing field. You shouldn't just be able to say, I'm going to make this the top search result on my platform. I don't know if that should be illegal. It's their website. They can do what they want with their website, and we are choosing to use their shit website to sell things when you can put up a Magento store or I don't know, any sort of other online e-commerce store, WooCommerce or whatever else. You're choosing to use their platform because it's easy and because it doesn't require you to do all of the work of setting everything up from scratch and building a customer base from scratch. In exchange, you're dealing with people who, in my opinion, are acting like a pile of cunts and just total dicks, assholes, and just and screwing you over. The thing is, I don't know if that's necessarily the case here from what we read in the article. So it says that the company said the way it displays search results doesn't favor private brand products. We display search results based on relevance to the customer search query, irrespective of whether such products have private brands offered by sellers or not. And they also talk about something called, It's search seeding. So they said search seeding and sparkles. How products rank when customers search the Amazon website is critical to online seller success. An internal document from 2017 noted that more than half of the users' clicks on search results are for the products listed in the top 8. Amazon has said its search algorithms don't favor its private brand products, and it says that there's this technique called search seeding that they use to boost the ranking of their own goods. That being said, you have many people using search seeding to boost the rankings of their own goods. It says that the service has been reportedly stopped after the marketplace found merchants abusing the tool. Now, one thing that none of these really seem to go in depth to is how does search seeding work? What specifically is it? Because again, I haven't sold on Amazon since 2013, but it seems like something that many people could use. It seems like something that the seller can use, and they could also admittedly use it in a twisted way, like putting the wrong search terms for something so it shows up first, the same way that Amazon could misuse it. Now, for the third level of douche, which is I'm just going to rearrange my website so my products always show up first, by not based on relevance or reviews or price or customer satisfaction, but I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to hard code it up there. Are we talking about them using search seeding in a manner that you can't? Because if that's the case, then what they're doing is some, even if not illegal, I think highly douchebag behavior. But if they're simply using search seeding better than people who don't know the platform, I wouldn't even say that that's necessarily that wrong. They're saying here that, that merchants were using this and trying to game the system on a regular basis. So if this is a tool that you may be able to use to get to the top of the search results, and everybody has access to potentially misuse this in a bad way, then the playing field there is kind of level. This article never really says, when it talks about manipulating search results to get to the top or rigged search results, it never says that they took their brand product and just hard code HTML, just put it up here so it always shows up regardless of how well other products did. It just brings up the concept of search seeding, and admittedly, it is very vague when it describes how they use search seeding to boost products. It says search seeding and sparkles were both used to promote Amazon Basics products on the company's India platform, the document reveals. Within months of the launch of Amazon Basics, 4 of its products were in #1 bestsellers in their category week after week. It added that promos are placed on detailed pages of competitor products to direct traffic to Amazon Basics brand products. Okay, so you have a competitor's product on your page. But that's something that happens with almost every Amazon product. I mean, almost every Amazon product, when you scroll down, you'll see, if I'm looking at a Shimano cassette for my bike, it may show me a cassette from, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the cassette brands. This is so embarrassing. SRAM. I'm sorry, SRAM. I actually prefer your cassettes, but it may show me a cassette from SRAM. It's always showing competing stuff, even when it is not an Amazon Basics product down there. So is this necessarily them going out of their way and being evil and hard coding something, or is it just them using the same feature that they were making available to the people that use their platform? Further, and above all, the search results on these platforms tend to favor products that have the best click-to-buy ratio. So if you have a product, and let's say of every 100 people that clicks it, 1 person buys it, it may not show up at the top of Amazon or eBay. If you have a product where out of 100 clicks, 90 people buy it, it may show up very high in the results on Amazon and eBay. One of the best ways to get a good ratio of clicks to purchases or conversions is to make that product cheap. So if you are able to make a product that people like and you're able to undercut everybody else, that is an easy way to get to the top of the search results. You'll get a lot of good reviews, and that is a different type of monopoly that's been discussed for a long period of time. This way predates terms like search seeding, online marketplace, and sparkles, which is the idea that if I can corner the market by using my wealth to crowd you out for a short period of time, and then once that short period of time is over, I'm going to increase the price on you. That is the way I think they're actually gaming the search engine, with the search functionality of their site. I think that what they're doing is they're making the product cheaper and better using that private information, and then once the product is cheaper, better, has a higher conversion rate, it will naturally rise to the top of Amazon. Again, if your product is half the price, better than everybody else's, you're going to have a higher conversion rate. When you have a higher conversion rate, you're going to be at the top of the algorithm if that's the way it's set. I don't really think that there is proof here, and I don't see any in this because they don't share the documentation of them hard-coding HTML or something, or purposely making it so that Amazon Basics' products always show up at the top regardless of the ratings, regardless of the price, and regardless of the conversions. And again, that's not something that we have access to. I don't have access to the back-end data to be able to see what the conversion rate is in Amazon's products or anything else in contrast to other brands. If that's the case, then you could make the argument that a company pushing everybody else out of the market by selling things at cost or below is bad to small businesses. But typically the claim that is made when it comes to monopolization is that once they crowd out everybody else, they up the price. And the thing that's going on with Amazon right now, typically, is that they'll crowd out everybody else by having the product priced less than everybody else, but even after they've crowded everybody else out, they don't increase the price, which has made it considerably more difficult to be able to make the case against Amazon from an antitrust perspective as opposed to the past. So let's say I lower my rate for motherboard repair because let's say I get funded by some multi-billionaire. Some billionaire watches my channel and he's like, I like your stuff. Here's $10 billion, Louis. And I decide I'm going to start doing board repair for $1. I do that until there's nobody left in the business. And then once there's nobody left in the business, I jack my prices for board repair up to $800. Maybe I match Apple in the Genius Bar. That would be harm. However, if I use my $1 billion and I bring board repair down to $1, and I consistently offer the best service in the industry, and it's only $1, and I never increase my prices, have I actually caused harm to the consumer? If anything, I may have actually benefited the consumer because you have more consumers that are now going to pay way less for board repair as a result of me being wealthy. It may suck for a lot of the other small business owners, but the benefit that occurs or accrues to the people that are now saving a bunch of money that they could use somewhere else may outweigh the damage done to those particular small businesses. That's going to be something that a lot of people argue back and forth on. But one of the things that really does make it difficult with Amazon to mount the antitrust case is that you can't really prove that a consumer is being harmed by the behavior when the consumers themselves are spending less money than they would have spent if Amazon did not exist. The area where I do think that you could potentially get into this is not really the monopolization law, but right to data. Whose data is it? I mean, again, Amazon runs the platform. They coded the platform. They coded the algorithms. They're providing the servers. They're providing the fulfillment for a lot of these vendors. So they could say, this is data that's on our servers. You signed our end user license agreement or whatever that says that we have access to this data, that says how many returns you have, what the reasons are for those returns, and why. You can't say that we can't look at your own returns data when we're processing your returns for you. But there is the argument to be made that that is not their data, but that's the customer's data. In this case, the customer is going to be the seller on the platform that is a customer of Amazon's marketplace because they're giving them, 6 or 10 or 15% cut of their sales in order to use their marketplace. Does Amazon have a right to that data simply because they created the online marketplace? If they don't have a right to that data, why? If they don't have a right to that data, at what point does it become immoral? If I were to create a way smaller online marketplace and I were to take a look at this data, would it be wrong for me to use it? How would you prove that I'm using that data? Does that only become wrong once you're at the point of being a $1 or a $2 trillion company? A lot of questions that I think have to be asked. To be clear, I don't think Amazon operates in good faith here at all. I don't give a fuck if they get rid of my account and I don't get $1,000 a month from them. As I've said from this video early on, I think the entire way that they deal with sellers is fucking horrible, and I think that sellers would be benefited by starting their own websites and not selling on Amazon's platform. Again, they will talk a good game about how they're going to delete your account without even talking to you because of a return rate, yet their own fucking product has the highest return rate of every other pair of business shirts selling on their platform. I think that they are hypocrites, and I think that the only reason that they're able to succeed with their own brands is because they have access to this data that nobody else has access to. But again, they have data that nobody else has access to, But is it just because they snapped their fingers, or is it because they built a marketplace that people like using from the ground up for many, many years and ran a company that really did not have much in the way of a net profit because they constantly reinvested it back into themselves in order to offer things like free 2-day shipping around the United States? Something to think about, something to discuss. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something.